Hey everyone, Casey here from Melbourne Reiki and Wellness, and this week's theme is stop and reflect. It's really interesting because I think this is something that we do a lot of the time at the end of the year. When it's Christmas time, we have a little bit of extra time, maybe we're on holidays and we're thinking about the new year and having celebrations. But it's not often that we stop and reflect halfway through the year, or in any case at any point throughout the rest of the year. But I can't believe we are over halfway through 2021 already. And although it seems like time does fly, it also goes quite slowly as well. And I think, especially for myself anyway, I've been feeling quite overwhelmed of late. I feel like I've got a lot of ideas, especially with my business and with the work that I do. I often have a lot of ideas and get really excited about all the things that I want to achieve and implement and share with everyone. But sometimes that overwhelm can be quite full on. And I think that I'm not the only one that has experienced overwhelm at some point. And for those of you who have experienced overwhelm, maybe for you and for myself as well, it can be quite stressful actually. It can be quite anxiety inducing. It can bring about procrastination when things all get too much. And it can really take a toll on our health and our mental well-being as well. So midway through the year is the perfect time to just take a moment to pause and really reflect on the last 6 months and what you've actually achieved and what has actually happened. And then also think about what you want to happen or draw into your experience over the next 6 months for the rest of the year. It's really interesting because I think collectively we've been focusing a lot on COVID, and it's been all around us. It's been in the news. We've had, especially in Victoria, we've had 2 lockdowns this year so far. There's no guarantees or certainty about what's to come in the future. And we really have 2 choices. One is to get overwhelmed and stressed and continually have our internal emotional state affected by what's going on outside of us, also that's outside of our control. Or we can start to remember that we actually have power over how we feel and how we think. And if we let that power go, if we give our power away to the things, especially outside of our control, it just really sets us into a state of disempowerment, or maybe victim mode, where we feel or our emotional state is kind of like fluctuating depending on what's happening in the world around us. So I'm definitely one to use analogies, and one that I really like is we're in a canoe on the river, and we can either choose to sit there in the canoe with our paddles in the boat and just float downstream according to wherever the weather blows us, or according to the flow of the water, and other canoes going down will push us in a certain direction. Or we can start to get our paddles out and start to paddle in a specific direction, one that we choose to go in ourselves. So I think taking the time to reflect and pause and think about what you actually want is going to give you a sense of intention, so we can move into the rest of the year with a sense of purpose and clarity and a direction, which will also help us make decisions and choose our time a little more wisely. So if this is resonating for you, you might like to grab your journal out and perhaps spend some time reflecting and writing down your thoughts. And if you are someone that likes to journal, me too. I don't do it all the time or every day, I have to admit, but I definitely go through phases. And I thought that I would give you guys 10 questions to maybe prompt you in your journaling for the next 6 months. So I wrote them out on this whiteboard. My handwriting, I will admit, is not the best, so I will read out the questions. But I also posted a blog with these questions a couple of days ago, and I'll pop the link below in this video, so you can always just pop over to my blog and spend the time and really read through the questions and answer them when you have the time in your journal. The first question here is, what have I achieved this year so far? At first glance, I actually wrote down these questions and did my own journaling experience with these questions last night or yesterday. And I have to admit, at first glance, when I read this question, that I wrote these questions out myself as well, I thought, oh God, what have I achieved? It feels like, the last 6 months has been so, COVID orientated for a lot of us and for myself as well. But then when I actually started to write out all the things that I've achieved, I actually wrote 2 pages of things, and it changed my state. It changed how I felt. It changed my emotions. It changed what I thought about and what I was focusing on. So I won't tell you everything that I wrote out because it will take too long. But one thing that I've really been proud of that I've achieved is launching my Reiki courses this year. I've also launched my wellness retreat in Dalesford in September that's coming up. I started boxing, which is stepping outside the comfort zone, and the list continues on. And I think once you start with one thing and then you start to think of another thing, and then you kind of get into a little bit of momentum and on a roll, which really does have influence over how you feel. Second question is, what am I proud of? And, the first and second questions kind of get wrapped up together. And I think it's really important to remember that it's okay to be proud of your achievements as well and to celebrate your wins. Third question, where has my focus been? Is it serving me? And for a lot of us, I think the focus has been on just surviving, getting through and surviving lockdown. And, many of us, our work and our business has been impacted. Our exercise or our health and fitness have been impacted. Seeing family and friends and feeling isolated, all of that has a really big impact. But if that is really where your focus lies, is that really helping you? Sometimes I feel like, watching the news, for example, is detrimental to my energy and to my health. It's very negative, it's very draining. And although it's important to stay up to date, it's not important for me now to spend hours listening and reading to the news every week, because it actually has a negative impact on how I feel. So really checking yourself and noticing, what am I focusing on, and asking yourself, is this serving me, is going to set you up for having a little bit more positive energy and intention for the rest of the year. What have I learned about myself? And the question following is, what have I learned about my relationships? This is taking a bit of a deep dive and having a bit of self-awareness about how you're feeling about yourself, and also checking in with your relationships, whether that be your friendships, your romantic relationships, your family, your work colleagues, etc. And I think spending time reflecting on the relationships that are most important to you, and asking yourself, have I put in enough for these relationships? Do I care about these people? And to what extent am I showing them that I care and love them? I think can go a long way in maybe bringing your awareness and your attention to what else you could be doing in the next 6 months to bring a bit more positive energy to those relationships. And also being okay with relationships dropping away as well, because that is also part of the nature of life, and friendships come and go, people come and go for whatever reason, and I think it's okay to allow that to happen as well. Where is my health? How is my health, and how can I improve? I think health is all encompassing. It's mental health, it's spiritual health, it's emotional, as well as physical. And so having a think about all of those 4 aspects in terms of your health can be really beneficial. I know for myself, my physical health pretty much has stayed the same. I'm very active in my physical body. Sometimes my mental health can take a dip, definitely through the lockdowns it did for sure. And so knowing what tools in your tool belt that you have to keep up your health and fitness, I think is really important. For me, Reiki has been like the most amazing thing. And whenever I feel really down, or I feel sad, or I feel overwhelmed, then I always book in for a Reiki session, or I reach into my toolkit and use some of those strategies that I've got in there for that purpose. 0 to 10, something I ask my clients every time they come in. 0 feeling terrible and 10 being amazing. Overall, for the last 6 months, whereabouts am I sitting? And I think answering that question kind of gives you a chance to zoom out and reflect on the last 6 months as a whole, and kind of think about, okay, like overall, has it been pretty good, or has it been really hard? And if so, that's okay. It's just bringing awareness to how you're feeling about the last 6 months, so that you can look to the next 6 months with maybe a different perspective. What would take me 1 point higher? For example, say you looked at the last 6 months and said, okay, I'm probably about a 7 out of 10. It hasn't been bad at all. It's actually been okay, but there is definitely room for improvement. What would take me 1 point higher? What would take me to an 8 out of 10? And maybe for you, it might be, oh, I really want to work on my fitness. Like I really want to get back into a regular routine. Or maybe it's, oh, I just need to clarify my direction and get a little bit more positive intentions so that I can make decisions more easily. Or maybe that's building a stronger foundation in my family or my relationships. Whatever that is for you, it can be helpful just to determine what is that one thing that will take us to the next level. A really great question to ask is, what am I grateful for? And, gratitude comes from the heart space. It's got a vibration of love. So it really can shift us out of the fear and the anxiety and the overwhelm into acknowledging and being aware of the things that you already have in your life and really lifting your vibration, feeling grateful for those things, which will then, of course, bring more of that into your life through law of attraction. Lastly, what is one goal I can work on for the next 6 months? Rather than being overwhelmed by all of the things that you could possibly do, just pick one thing that you could focus on and break it down into bite-sized pieces. I think we often get excited. I definitely do. I've got a bit of the shiny thing syndrome, that's for sure. I get so excited by all these different ideas that I kind of don't follow through with any of them sometimes. So picking just one thing can really narrow your focus and direct your energy, and hopefully we can follow through and achieve that goal. And whether you achieve it or not in the next 6 months is neither here nor there. It's just making progress and working towards something so that we have the next 6 months, or we're living with intention and purpose. If this has resonated, I will pop these questions below in the link, or the link to my blog where I've written about this on Monday. If you have any questions though, or would like some support in guiding yourself through, then book in for a coaching session. Coaching sessions are amazing just to get your head in the right place, to clear your thoughts, and to help you make any of those tricky decisions that you might be feeling. Also, if you're feeling stagnant or stuck in overwhelm, procrastination, anxiety, depression, it can be really helpful just to talk it out with someone, because sometimes the answers, become clear when you just have someone to bounce those ideas off. So if you have questions, please contact me. I'll pop my contact details below. Until I see you, have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.